All right, today we're digging into a book that really gets to the heart of a huge problem in the modern workplace. It's The Fearless Organization by Harvard professor Amy Edmondson. We all know companies are desperate for those big breakthrough ideas, right? But what if their own culture is the very thing stopping those ideas from ever seeing the light of day? Let's get into it.
So let me ask you something. I think we've all been here. You're in a meeting, an idea just sparks in your head. Maybe it's a solution or a really important question, but you pause. You do that quick, silent math in your head. The risk of speaking up versus the safety of staying quiet. And yeah, silence wins. Why does that happen so often? And what is it actually costing our teams and our company?
And that really brings us to this core conflict in business today, something the book calls the innovation dilemma. You see, companies they desperately need creativity and new thinking to survive. But so often, the day-to-day culture on the ground completely undermines the very talent they hired to deliver it.
It's no secret, right? Today's economy runs on a totally different kind of fuel. It's not just about cranking out widgets efficiently anymore. It's all about innovation, creativity, and that spark. That's exactly why companies pour so much money and effort into finding and holding on to the most talented people they can get. But here is the billion-dollar question. You can pack a room with the most brilliant minds on the planet, but if they don't feel safe enough to actually share what they're thinking, what is the point? All of that potential, all that creativity and spark, it just vanishes into thin air. It's this huge, invisible loss that's happening in meetings every single day.
So, what's causing all this silence? Well, the book argues it's a really deep-seated workplace culture. You know the one? It's a culture that rewards you for fitting in and kind of punishes you for rocking the boat. It's this old way of thinking that, honestly, many of us were taught was the secret to a successful career.
For years and years, the path to success just seems so clear. Fit in, go along with what everyone else is saying, and whatever you do, don't make waves. But just look at what businesses need right now. They need brand new ideas, they need critical thinking, they need that spark. You just can't have both. These two models are in a direct fight with each other.
And the book doesn't pull any punches here. It says that this traditional culture of fitting in and going along, well, it spells doom in the knowledge economy. This isn't just about being a little old-fashioned. It's actively destroying a company's ability to compete and innovate.
Okay, so if that old culture of fear is the problem, what's the solution? The answer, and really the entire core concept of the fearless organization, is this idea called psychological safety. This is the key that unlocks absolutely everything else.
So what is psychological safety, really? Well, it's basically a shared belief on a team that you won't get punished or humiliated for speaking up. Whether it's an idea, a question, a concern, or even a mistake. And this is so important. It's not about being nice or lowering your standards. It's about creating a climate where being candid isn't just okay, it's actually expected from everyone.
At its very core, it's about building a climate that doesn't suppress, silence, ridicule, or intimidate people. It's about taking fear out of the work equation. Because when that fear is gone, people feel free to bring their full, creative, and critical minds to the job every single day.
Now that all sounds great in theory, but what does a fearless team actually look like in the real world? Day to day. What are the actual things you'd see and hear if you walked into a truly psychologically safe workplace?
Well, in this kind of culture, you'd actually see people voicing their half-finished thoughts, just to get them out there and workshop them with the team. You'd hear someone ask a so-called stupid question from way out in left field, and nobody would bat an eye. People would be brainstorming their wildest ideas out loud. And so crucially, they'd feel safe enough to say, "Oops, I made a small mistake," which means real problems get found and fixed fast.
And that's really the whole point, isn't it? Breakthroughs hardly ever show up as these perfect, fully formed ideas. They start out as fragile little sparks, a half-baked thought, a weird question from left field. A fearless culture is like an incubator that protects those little sparks, because it knows that any one of them could grow into the next big thing.
So let's connect all the dots here. We've seen the problem, this culture of silence, and we've defined psychological safety as the solution. Now let's trace the exact path from that feeling of safety all the way to a real game-changing innovation.
Here's how that journey usually plays out. It all starts when one person feels safe enough to voice that fragile left field idea. Then, because they spoke up, the team can actually talk about it, challenge it, build on it. And when they find flaws, and they will, it's not a reason for punishment, it's just an opportunity to make the idea better. And it's out of that fearless, collaborative process that the next big thing finally has a chance to emerge.
Now, creating this kind of culture is not easy. Let's be clear. The road can be bumpy, and it takes real, sustained commitment, especially from leaders. But the main takeaway here is that even with the challenges, this is the only sustainable path forward for any team that's serious about constant learning and healthy innovation.
So we'll end by turning this question back to you. Just think about your own work, your own team. What incredible idea, what critical question, what game-changing observation might be locked inside you, or maybe one of your colleagues, right now? What could change everything if you just felt safe enough to share it?